Hi guys, good evening. How are y'all doing? I hope you are having a great start to the day. In here, Monday morning started with like a thunderstorm. I love rain, but I thought it was very ironic because yesterday I spoke about morning routines and how it is to get up in the morning, and I was like, all geared up to start. And this morning, when the alarm rang, it was like the best time to sleep. You know, it was so hard to actually get out of bed. There was like thunder and lightning and the sound of rain. But you know what? Commitments are commitments, so we have to get up. And that brings me to the topic for today, which is about suffering. Suffering is a word that we generally do not like to hear. It's not a favorite word for most of us. Hi Darshna, nice to see you. It's not a favorite word for most people. Hi Gauri, nice to see you. And this is something that we don't like. We always want to end suffering. We always want to end our own suffering as well as the suffering for the world. And now we know with the pandemic, we are seeing a lot of this kind of stuff going on. But there is a truth to this, which is that, although there is pain in the world, there is a lot of pain in the world, and we can experience a lot of pain, physical pain as well as mental pain. But suffering itself is something that we can call optional. So there's a famous saying, I'm not sure where it actually came from. A lot of people say that it's a Buddhist saying, but I don't think it is. But it was popularized by someone. But the saying is a very powerful saying. It says, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And that's what I would like to talk about today. Hi Shamala, nice to see you. And so let's go and look at what exactly is pain and what exactly is suffering in order to continue this discussion. All of us will definitely feel pain. There has not been a single person who comes to earth and go through life without pain. We would have had faced physical pain, and we would have definitely faced emotional pain. That is something that is true, and that is something that is inevitable, and we will have to go through it, we will have to experience it, and we will have to do whatever that we need to do in order to deal with the pain. Now, suffering is a little bit different. Suffering is not real, not like the pain. The pain is real, but suffering is something in our mind. Yeah, our mind is fixated to make certain things into suffering. Yeah, so let me explain. Let me explain that a lot of painful situation may not even cause suffering. In fact, in some instances, pain can be pleasurable. Yeah, let me explain what that means. People who climb mountains, the process of climbing a mountain like Kinabalu or Everest or any mountain, the process itself involves pain. You're going to push yourself against the limit, you're going to feel stressed, you may feel dehydrated, you have to carry things, your body's going to ache. And in fact, in order to prepare for the trip, you probably had to go through a lot of other pain. You had to go for daily exercise, you had to take care of your diet, you may have to get up early, you may have to spend money. All of this could have caused a lot of pain. Hi Maliga, nice to see you. But if you ask anyone whose hobby is to climb mountains, they will tell you whatever that happened with a lot of pleasure. They will recall it happily. They would have so much of pride and joy in what they did. So although it was a painful experience, there is no suffering that is attached to it. And for mothers, those of us who are mothers, we would have gone through labor pain, we would have gone through cesarean. All those are such painful processes. The 9 months of pregnancy, but why do mothers keep going back and having another one and another one? because we don't associate that pain with suffering. We associate that pain with something that is beautiful. So pain is not necessarily suffering. So what exactly is suffering? Suffering is anything that we resist. Hi Thambi, nice to see you. I'll repeat that. Suffering is anything that we resist. If we feel something and we are resisting it, or we want something and we need to put in some effort to get it but we resist it, we will suffer. Yeah. In a very simplistic manner, what I can say is, if I have something that I want here and I am here, the gap between these two is actually called suffering. And it can be anything. If I want to clean the house, but I am here. Now this gap, the longer the gap is, the more I suffer thinking about the work that I'm supposed to do but not doing it. Right? How many of us continuously suffer like this? Whenever we procrastinate, we are actually extending our suffering. Right? And so every time we want something but we are not getting it, this gap is actually suffering. So in order not to suffer, it sounds pretty straightforward. Just close the gap, right? If we need to clean the house and you immediately clean the house, you actually don't suffer, right? If you have to do your assignment and you do your assignment, you don't suffer. If we have to exercise and we do the exercise, we don't suffer. I have promised Mallika and Shomala that I will join their 4:30 a.m. club. Now, when the alarm rings, if I just jump out of bed, I don't suffer. But if I keep looking at the snooze button and trying to figure out whether I should or I should not, I will start suffering. So that's basically what suffering is all about. Every time we deny something, every time we resist something, every time we fight with that situation, either by condemning it or judging it, or or projecting it to the future, or regretting the past, all these are suffering. Hi Uma, nice to see you. So this is something that is optional, yeah? This is something that we do by choice. Would you all agree, guys? What do you think about that? Suffering is actually totally optional because it's in our mind. If I fall down and I hurt my leg, I will feel pain. There's nothing I can do about it. I will definitely feel pain. But I can choose to do something about it, or I can sit there with the pain and then add on more layers of it, judging it, resisting it, blaming it on something, blaming it on the rock. I can continue to do things like this and my suffering will just increase. And how many times we do things like that in our life? In a conversation, somebody would have said something and then they would have just gone off. They may not even realize what they said, or they may not have indicated it the way you thought you heard it. Like, lots of things can happen. But if we grab that and then we continue to look at it and we continue to think about it, and then every time somebody comes, I repeat this, and then I go and tell somebody else, at night I lie in bed thinking about this, then I increase the suffering. Right? Then I increase the suffering. So this is the part where we have to be very careful about how we are increasing the suffering. There's a story there's actually a meme that I saw on internet where it actually shows someone with a cactus and says, just because life gives us a cactus, we don't actually have to sit on it. We have a cactus, there's nothing we can do. We just have to deal with that cactus, or the pain, or the circumstances that life gives to us. But if we choose to sit on it and we choose to make it worse, then we are choosing to suffer. Now, how do we deal with this? The first thing is to accept it. Whatever the situation is, the more we resist, we are increasing suffering. So the best way to deal with this is just to accept that pain for whatever that is. If you think about it, right, you have never cured the pain by suffering. Every time someone has hurt you and you keep repeating this story again and again to different people, you cannot solve the pain that was originally caused by that person. In fact, you could do more damage, because you would be talking about it again and again, like bringing that suffering, now amplifying it again, and then while you're amplifying it, you'll suffer, then you'll amplify it one more time to somebody else, and then you'll suffer. So this process can make things even worse. And we can never shoo pain away in this way. We actually have to experience it. Now the second thing is to look at the cause. If we feel like we are suffering, there must be a cause, which means that there must be a pain somewhere. This is the truth. The pain is the truth. We have to look for the truth in our suffering. Now, what exactly is causing us to suffer? And once we have identified the cause, which is the actual pain, we have to now experience the pain. Like whatever it is it a financial problem? Is it a physical pain? Is it a mental pain caused by some heartbreak? Whatever it is, we have to allow ourselves to experience it. And while we are experiencing it, we should be able to differentiate between the real pain and the stories that our mind tells us. Because our mind is now going to start telling us all sorts of stories about the pain. It's going to tell us that, just because it happened now, it can happen in future. You are always unlucky. You're always attracting this. Why did this happen to you? Why are you always the one to end up with this kind of people? Why are you always the unlucky one? These stories are no longer real. These are stories that is brought about by the mind to fixate us to the pain and bring out the struggle. And this is the part that we have to be very careful about. And once we know this, what we can do is we can just focus back on the original pain, because that is the reality. And that is something that we have to learn to deal with. Hi Molly-Ann, nice to see you. So the pain itself is something that is real and that we have to deal with. And it doesn't mean that by focusing on the pain is going to become less. Yeah, if I break my leg and I start focusing on my broken leg, it can actually become worse. But at least I'm focusing on the reality of the situation and not on fictional problems that is brought about by my mind, and that is actually going to be by far worse than what I am going through. And the last one that I want to talk about is how we can apply suffering in a productive way. What we perceive as suffering is basically something that is preventing us from moving out of our comfort zone. The resistance that we feel is something that is keeping us where we are. Every time we try to do something to move out or to grow out, we will face what we perceive as suffering. Yeah. So in order for us to deal with this, we can consciously apply suffering. Like if I want to get up early tomorrow morning, and Mallika and Shomala, I'm going to do this, I'm going to ask myself, I'm going to tell myself, if I want to grow, which means I want to get up early in the morning, I have to experience certain suffering, which is in my mind, like I'm going to lose my sleep, I'm going to do this, I may feel tired. All these are suffering. None of this is real yet, but my mind is making me suffer with all these kind of thoughts. But if this thing that I'm going to do is not going to kill me and is going to help me to grow, then I will do it. I will apply this suffering productively, and I'll push myself, and I will grow out of this comfort zone. So this is something that is is a concept that some people use, applied suffering. If you want to exercise, then you know that when you push yourself to exercise, you actually have to run, and your heart may beat fast, and some people call it suffering. But this is something that you have to apply in order to build a stronger body and a fitter self. So you consciously apply it, and then we grow stronger, and we move out of our comfort zone, and we keep growing instead of just fearing the suffering and just backing away every time, or worse, indulging in the suffering. And that is all that I have for today. Hi Morgana, nice to see you. And that is all I have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again tomorrow. Bye.